right, folks. So that was the president, obviously, in the East Room. And this is how they set it up. I get these rundowns from the White House directly. President Trump entered the East Room at 3:34 p.m. for Women's History Month celebration. So that was the reason for it. And you heard Trump go through all the women in his cabinet, all the women who supported him so aggressively in the election, Congresswomen, et cetera. And now Brooke Rollins and Linda McMahon and Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem. He thanked all of them. So it was a really interesting standing room only, standing closest to the president, small tables in the back. The room was filled with women, many of whom have wine and champagne. The music played before included orchestral arrangements of Dancing Queen and Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So yeah, he's having some fun. He really seemed to enjoy that quite a bit. Okay, so let's bring in John Solomon. Really good to have our good friend, John Solomon. John, I want to talk about the Signal chat that is just occupying everyone's mind and emotions and politics over the last, I would say, 72 hours. John, we have a couple of sound bites we'll get to in a second. I just like your overview of what you think really happened and how is this being played by both sides?
So I think, first up, the president had the right messaging. Wasn't a great idea. We made a mistake. We'll fix it. Let's move on. I think that's the best messaging they have. Now, since then, the White House and some of the appointees have gotten into these long, drawn-out debates. And I think the more they draw it out, the worse it gets for them because, you know, you can dicker over a word or is that classified, is that not classified. I think the president made it easy to go away. We made a mistake. We're going to fix it. Let's move on. We're doing other great things. Democrats have one interest. If they're talking about this, they don't have to talk about the fact that Donald Trump secured the first peace deal between Ukraine and Russia during the last 3 years of war. That would have been the headline everywhere if the Signal story wasn't allowed to take it over. I think the White House's interest is to get this back to what the president is getting done every day. He just committed in front of us on air here that he's going to build a women's museum on the Mall. That's historic. He's got big plans in the next couple of days for more executive orders. That's the big news. How do they do that? How do they get this story off the headlines? I think there's two things. One of them up on Just the News right now. I think people should pay attention to this. In December, the Cybersecurity Agency for America, the Homeland Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA as it's known, wrote a memo to all federal employees advising them to start using Signal for chat. I think the president should lean into that. The White House can lean into that. Mm-hmm. Our cybersecurity experts told us to use this platform. And then here's the second thing. We're in the process of doing this. I'm sure we'll get an answer. Hopefully the White House will get an answer too. We know that Joe Biden ordered this in the past. Let's find out from the National Archives how many times a Biden administration official used Signal for government business in the last administration, and that information included classified information. Because once you can prove the Biden administration did it, which I'm sure they did based on what's been said in these hearings, this goes away. The quicker the Trump administration gets this off the table, the quicker they can go back to talking about accomplishments and the fewer things Democrats will have to say about it. I think that's the strategy for the next 24 hours, recalibrating on both sides. We'll see if they pull it off.
Yeah, and again, John, sometimes if there's a perceived cover-up, it's worse than the actual crime itself. And look,
exactly.
I'm trying to figure out why they didn't just come out and say, we made a mistake. We included a JG that we thought was someone within the administration. It was, and we made a mistake. It won't happen again. Let's move on. But there are some of them out there going, it's not classified. Listen, here's the litmus test. If Biden had done it, will we call it classified or not? I'm guessing right. we might have. But let me jump to A52, and this will be Cash today, explaining what he believes should go on or what went on.
Now that another day has passed, do you believe that it's now time potentially for the FBI to open an investigation into this?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Because you're the director of the FBI, you don't believe it's appropriate to comment on that?
Because there's a process in place, there's an ongoing litigation, and the National Security Council is reviewing this matter. And I'm not going to discuss any open or closed investigations.
That ongoing investigation, literally, the lawsuit happened today or yesterday afternoon, and the idea that you don't have an opinion on this at this point is frustrating to me.
No, it's not. I'm not going to prejudge any matters, and the men and women of the FBI will call the balls and strikes.
Reclaiming my time,
not
sir.
you.
I love that line, John. The FBI will call balls and strikes, not you. Yeah. And it was embarrassing, some of these Democrats over the yesterday in the Senate panel and this one today, asking things like, was Pete Hegseth drunk when he was on the chat. That is the most asinine question I've heard in a very long time. Your thoughts?
Listen, the Democrats have nothing to really listen. They're ridiculing a guy in a wheelchair who's a hero to so many Americans who are disabled. He rises to be the governor of one of the largest states in America, and the best they can do is ridicule him. This is a party that is obsessed with anger, with hatred, with tearing down America and its officials, because it doesn't have a platform it can offer the American people. So all it can offer them is vitriol and one-liners and anger. That's wearing on the American people. That's why the Democratic Party's at 27% approval rate and probably going to go down from here. And all of this behavior that you just said, people absorb it. They dismiss it as politics, but they also say, I don't like this type of politics. I think it strengthens the hands, if Republicans can stay disciplined, to defy history and have a good midterm elections in 2026. Stay focused on the job. You heard the president say, we're going to stay just focused on what we promised the American people. We're going to keep getting through that checklist. Let's save money. Let's get the tax cuts done. Let's get the price of eggs done. And I think that is what Americans are going to judge the next 2 years of history by, not by how insipid and smart alecky you can be in a congressional hearing, which is what we've seen a lot of in the last few days.
Yeah, and again, that's the Trump has got racking up so many wins. He needs to get the narrative, get the news cycle back on his wins and off of this, and that's why I think it should have just been, look, stuff happens. We made a mistake. We're fixing it. It won't happen. Good news is nothing bad happened. We're going to fix it. It doesn't happen again. Tulsi Gabbard, again, yesterday saying there was no classified, explaining it again. Guys, that will be A61 soundbite.
And it was my commitment to the president, to the Senate, the American people, that as the director of national intelligence, I will ensure to provide the president and all of you as policymakers with that unbiased, relevant, and timely intelligence. And to your specific question, the answer is yes. I will inform the president of that accurate, timely, unbiased intelligence reporting, whether it is something that agrees with an assumption or a view or an objective or not. That's my responsibility to him and to the American people. Again,
she's doing her darndest to get put this to rest, put it down. Let's go. Yeah. Let's move on. They want to scalp. Democrats want a head to roll.
They got nothing else, so they got to try to get a scalp because they don't have anything else to put into the marketplace right now. And I think that the Trump administration will outlast them. Here's what I will say on the issue of classified information. When you look at what's now been published by The Atlantic, there's a lot of focus on the media timeline. Like, they're getting prepared. They already know the attack's going to occur, and they're moving towards a media timeline. When are we going to announce this? When will the president put his truth out, right? Meaning his Truth Social post. That may mean, from a very technical sense, and again, I don't think this rests on technicalities. I think your way of addressing it is the right way. We made a mistake, move on. But technically, it is very possible that the battle plans had been shared with the press teams at the Pentagon to prepare them for an official announcement when it happened. And when that happens, typically the defense secretary has invoked his declassification powers to send it to people in the press office who don't have security clearances. So there may be a technicality here that they can also hang their hats on. I personally think the way you and the way the president first addressed this was the easiest way, and some of the cabinet and sub-cabinet officials are getting into a lot of details that they just don't need to get into.
Exactly. Hey, you saw it. It's all there. The mission came off clean. We accomplished all our goals. Yes, did it leak? It was a mistake. We will clean that up. Here's how you do it, though. And she's 26 years old, and she is just, I'll say it, I'll probably get in trouble. She's a badass. Caroline Levitt, guys, it's A13.
I have two questions. One on a follow-up on something you just said. But since we have these messages released, and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, at the chat at one point, Pete Hegseth wrote 14-15 strike drones on target, and in all caps, he said, "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop." Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay,
Philip.
And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip.
Caitlin,
I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's
Caitlin,
regarding
I'm not
Jeffrey
taking
Goldsberg.
your follow-up. Philip, go ahead. I have called on you.
The vice president seemed to express some frustration that Europe wasn't doing more.
John, you and I have been doing this a long time. I mean, Jim Acosta made a name for himself because he was up there. He's a fighter. He got smacked down. Trump smacked. He got back up. But Kaitlan Collins got smoked in the cabinet room yesterday when she tried to cut President Trump off, and he put her in her place. And Caroline Leavitt just completely went like this. I'm not listening to you. And she's a star. How do we get these people? They just want so badly to be to get a scalp.
Yeah, listen, they're just going to end up giving their own scalp in because they're ruining their own reputations acting this way. You know, Caroline's a lot younger than the very first press secretary that I got to see in action when I came to Washington in 1991. But Marlon Fitzwater was just as good as George H.W. Bush's press secretary at putting the media in their place. And I will tell you, she may be young, but her ability to command the stage, to control that room, not let it get overrun, is really impressive. And I think, you know what she's doing? She's serving the American interest, not even serving President Trump's interest. A press secretary that stays on what's important for the American people and cuts off things that are just the gotcha silliness of the old media. They're doing the public a favor because they're allowing the American people to hear answers about what matters to them: inflation, war, peace, the border. And she keeps that message front and center. I think it's an extraordinary public service she's doing. She's extraordinarily skilled, and more you're going to see more reporters get schooled. She comes prepared. She already knows the gotcha questions before they come, and she's putting a lot of those reporters into place.
And if you remember, Karine Jean-Pierre, when she first started, she had nowhere to go. Everything was out of that book. There was a huge book, and she had every topic that she could possibly be asked, and she'd have to find the right tab, open it up, and start reading a prepared answer for everything. Caroline's just like off the top of her head, like boom, boom, take this one. She's so running and gunning, and it's really impressive. John, I know you got to get going. You got to prep for your show. You got a big interview. Appreciate your time. John Solomon, folks. Thank you so much.
It's great to be on the show. Congrats.
All right, folks. We will be back in 2.5. I think we have a special guest, but I want to tease it before I know for sure. Maybe, maybe not. Well, you'll find out when you come back. 2.5. Charlottesville, Virginia. Never been there. Yeah, but heard it's beautiful. Let's do this. Let's go right to, I believe, right outside the White House. Do we have our roving reporter, the one, the only, the wonderful Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene standing by? There she is. Look at that. What a gorgeous shot there.
Hi, Eric.
Good to see you. And I heard you get called out by the president as being a superstar. It was quite a nice event for recognition of Women's History Month. Marjorie, tell us about it.
It was incredible. President Trump is the president for women, and the Republican Party is the president for women. It was such an honor to be there as we launched the very first Republican Women's Caucus, which has been led by Kat Kammack, a great colleague of mine, who, by the way, announced that she is expecting. She announced that on stage to all of us. None of us knew that she was pregnant, but we are delighted to share in her great news. President Trump was so much fun, as always, joking with us and talking about all the issues that we campaigned on and now are being delivered with his great administration.
Yeah, and he was having fun, as you pointed out. He really enjoyed it, pointed out that there's no Dudes History Month, or if there was, he cut it down to like 5 minutes. But he was really enjoying the crowd, and they really love him, don't they?
Oh, they love him. You know, he's been attacked for so many years. They said that women didn't like him, and that's absolutely not true. Women love President Trump, and he's done more for women than any other president in history. He's defending men and women's sports by signing his executive order. He's doing something that I'm personally passionate about, and I have a bill that will soon pass the House floor, and that's criminalizing sex changes on children. That should never happen, and it's just unimaginable. And he's defending gender, that there's only two genders, male and female. And so we're also thankful to President Trump, but they're also doing a lot more that help not only women, but all of us, Eric, lowering inflation, lowering gas prices. Gas in my district when I went home last week was $2.73, and lowering the price of eggs, whether the media likes it or not. That was all on Joe Biden's watch. So it was a lot of fun today here at the White House.
You know, it was a really nice moment that we didn't have to hear left-wing nut jobs complaining about the signal chat that they've been just occupying the airwaves. I mean, I saw some lunatic congressman today ask, I believe it was Tulsi Gabbard or someone, if Pete Hegseth was drunk on the chat. I mean, how low can they stoop, Congresswoman?
They're repulsive. They're shameful. You know, I dealt with a few of those questions myself after the NPR PBS hearing I had today on my DOJ subcommittee on oversight. You know what was really funny, Eric? You're going to love this. The press on the Capitol outside my hearing room, they were great. They were asking me questions specifically about the defunding of NPR and PBS, which I'm absolutely moving forward with, and taking down corporate public broadcasting, which is something that every Republican president since LBJ has said they were going to do and never got it done. And we're going to make sure that President Trump is able to sign that. But here was what was so interesting. It was a British reporter that came up to me and was actually attacking President Trump and his administration about the signal chat. And I found it so ironic because this woman, this British woman, if she was back home in her country, she would be censored and she couldn't put her opinions on social media because they don't respect free speech. But I asked her back, I said, you know, why don't you care about the women that are being raped in your country by the migrants that have come across your country's open borders, instead of you're attacking our president and this administration that's doing every single thing right and actually delivering the mandate that the American people voted for in November. And she didn't have anything really to come back on that, but to continue to launch into the lies so that they can put it in the headlines, because that's the only playbook they have.
I saw you smack her down. You shut her right down. Her tail got planted firmly between her legs, and she kind of backed off. That was great. Can we talk a little bit about the NPR and various other programming that the American people support with hard-earned tax dollars? And it should be noted that this programming leans hard left. Obviously, the editorial leans hard left. And I believe it was J.D. Vance or someone today who said that there were something like 63 directors in NPR, and they all report to the Democrat Party. None of them were conservative. Is that right? Is it that much of a skew behind the scenes as well?
Correction.
Go ahead.
It's worse than that. It's not 63, it's 87. 87 are registered Democrat voters. There's not one registered Republican voter on the board for NPR. That shows you the bias that they have. You know, Media Research Center has done a lot of reporting. 90% of their reporting has a left-leaning bias and doesn't represent so-called rural America that they claim that they are talking to. You know what's even more disgusting, Eric, is the trans agenda that has been pushed on children through PBS. Ms. Kerger appeared before me today, and on her watch, she's been there for 19 years. 19 years, Eric. This went from the PBS that we watched as children, you and I both, and that I know you and I raised our children watching, to now with drag queen story time, with a drag queen talking about his hips going swish, 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 and his shoulders going shimmy, 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 and then talking about all kinds of stories, pushing this trans agenda on children ages 3 to 8 years old. We both know that this was one of the #1 issues in the election. American parents, it's not even divided by politics. It's not divided on those boundaries between Republican and Democrats. American parents are fed up with a trans agenda coming after their kids and lying to their children about there being they're trying to say there's not two genders when we both know there's only two. This has not been an argument throughout time, only until here recently, and it's disgusting. And that's why Americans shouldn't have to pay a tax, a regressive tax, to fund NPR and PBS. They can hate us on their own dime, Eric, and that's what I let them know today. We are going to defund and dismantle NPR and PBS.
That is a great idea. And let's not forget the former Attorney General under Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, called parents who are pushing back against books that displayed this stuff, or domestic terrorists. It blows me away. Congresswoman, hey, let's see how good our control room is. Asset is E1 from the E block. Mad Dog, if you pull that up, and the reason why I'm saying is because our friend Jazzy Jazz Crockett has a few words about the funding or defunding of NPR. Dog, you got that yet? It's E1 from the E block. Let's play it.
Free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is bull. We need to stop playing, because that's what y'all are doing in here. You don't want to hear the opinions of anybody else. And the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting or establishing of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the
gentlewoman's time has expired.
Press.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Madam Chairwoman, can I get to the record?
I just don't know how you do it, Congresswoman. I don't know how you sit in those meetings with that lunatic, but I digress. I was trying to figure out, does she want NPR to be defunded, or does she want the make it rain to continue by the American taxpayer for that garbage?
Nobody knows what she's talking about, but I think that she is the face of the Democrat Party. I love for Jasmine Crockett to keep saying whatever she's saying, because it just makes the whole entire Democrat Party look pathetic. So I hope they keep promoting her, and I hope she keeps talking. You know what is interesting, though, Eric? I'll let you know something. She's been walking around the Capitol with a Capitol Police escort. Yeah, this is the same woman cheering on domestic terrorism against Elon Musk, Tesla workers, Tesla dealerships, and Tesla drivers. These are private citizens, by the way. But I got to let you know, Jasmine Crockett's got her little Capitol Police escort while she's walking around. Why? Because an independent journalist put an iPhone up and asked her to denounce domestic terrorism. And then she assaulted him, and that's on camera. But she's the one that needs the Capitol Police escort. I just want to be real clear on this. I've never had a Capitol Police escort. I've had some of the most death threats in Congress. 2 men have been convicted for pleading guilty to planning to murder me. One of them is in prison right now. I live with this non-stop. But Jasmine Crockett has her little Capitol Police escort while she's going to be encouraging the Tesla takedown coming on March 29th.
We want you to be safe, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. We want you to be safe.
Oh, I'm safe. Believe me, I'm a gun owner. And I can defend myself.
I know you can. I know you can. That jazzy Jasmine Crockett is still out there talking about March 29th being the day of rage against Tesla. And I believe that if there's any injuries, any people hurt or killed, God forbid, that's blood on her hands. And I did see her. I saw her almost. I saw her almost knock over Congressman Tim Burchett to grab that phone out of, or to smack the phone out of one of Laura Loomer's photogs. And yeah, that is assault. I mean, that is she's horrible. Congressman, we're going to let you go. We appreciate a final thought, and we appreciate you at the sticks over there giving us a quick rundown with the mic. It looks fantastic, by the way. Final thought.
Thank you. Oh, listen, we're up here getting the job done that the American people voted for, and we don't care how much they complain. We don't care how much the media lies about us. We're actually going to keep on fighting for this country. It's great to be with you, Eric.
Good to be with you, too, and happy Women's Month celebration today. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman, thank you very much. All right, folks, we will be back in 2.5 minutes. Oh, there you go. Panama City, Florida. So much fun, guys. Right around there, Floribama. I mean, it's just so cool. That's just a great place. Great spring break place, too, by the way. All right, folks. Democrats, well, they've slipped to their all-time low. And no, I'm not talking just about their favorability ratings. That's already hit an all-time low of 29%. And now it's even lower than that at 26%. But their newest low of the lows is letting the likes of Jasmine Crockett, absolute trash, become the face of their party. There's no one more out of tune with Americans these days than a Democrat. But Jasmine, Maxine, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan, Omar, they're the loudest voices and the ones doing the most damage. I got the receipts very quickly. Listen to Jasmine Crockett.
Politicians. So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Ilhan to be taken down. Yes. Listen, I have learned as I serve on the DOJ Oversight Committee that there is only one language that the people that are in charge understand right now. And that language is money. And so I've been so proud to see us organize behind a cause.
Jasmine Crockett is a damage to the Democrat Party. Again, look who we're dealing with. These Democrats are all the same. Listen, we're going to skip the next one. We're going to, Mad Dog, we're going to AOC D31. Take a listen.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met.
AOC saying Elon Musk is one of the dumbest people she's ever met. Is she out of her mind? He's worth $400 billion. He's done Starlink, where he's revolutionized rockets. He revolutionized cars, automobiles, to the love of the left when they used to love electric cars. Remember, they used to love Elon Musk for that. He's done the Neuralink, putting chips in people's brains to help them see or be able to walk again. He's dumb. AOC, he's dumb. Don't look in the mirror, my dear. All right, let's move on to another lunatic Democrat. Ilhan Omar, this will be D51, another one.
It is hard to imagine anything more un-American than that. The Trump administration's immigration policy is a threat to immigrants like criminals. America is too great to fall prey to Donald Trump's anti-immigrant agenda.
So the weird thing about Ilhan Omar telling us about our immigration policy here in the United States, when she clearly only cares about her home country, Somalia, is that she married her own brother to get him into the United States, violating every single law and rule we possibly have. You can't marry your own brother to bring him in. I don't think. Maybe you can, but you shouldn't. How about that? All right, Dog, let's do another one of the lunatic leftists. Rashida Tlaib, and this will be D71.
Hi, Congresswoman. Miles Morrell with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Are they paying you well?
Well, that's besides the point. The question is, will you condemn?
I believe you should be.
Will you condemn the recent attacks on Tesla dealerships?
I can tell you right now that they don't give you health coverage, because I'm telling you this is very dangerous on how you have to walk up against these steps.
But will you condemn the recent attacks on Tesla dealerships?
Can't even condemn the violence and blowing up Teslas and Tesla dealerships and the poor people who probably are liberal because they want to buy an electric car to save the planet. You're ruining their lives too, you lunatic Tlaib. So Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Jasmine Crockett. I haven't even gotten to Maxine Waters because I ran out of time. Lunatic leftist ladies, by the way, all minorities. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but really got to get their act together. We're back in 2.5 with Bannon. Wait a minute. Santa Monica has like a little amusement park. You sure that's not New Jersey, Dog? Mad Dog, can you voice of God me for a second? Santa Monica, Cal. No kidding. All right. I don't remember that. All right, folks, let's bring in Mr. Stephen K. Bannon. Always good to have you on. So much stuff to talk about. We're texting this morning back and forth about the hearings, and then all of a sudden MSNBC is going absolutely bonkers, Stephen K. Bannon. But we can hit that another time. I just wanted you to weigh in because I know you and I love to do media stuff, and Jasmine Crockett is now really complaining that Marjorie Taylor Greene might get it around, though he can pull funding from the NPR leftist propaganda machine. Listen.
Free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is bull. We need to stop playing, because that's what y'all are doing in here. You don't want to hear the opinions of anybody else. And the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting or establishing of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the
gentlewoman's time has expired.
Press.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Madam Chairwoman, can I into the record?
Steve, she butchered the Constitution, but whatever. What's she rambling about?
Well, I think it was an intense hearing. We actually cut in. We were doing, as I told you, Eric, this morning, we were covering live the entire gavel to gavel on the intelligence because it was so intense. We actually had to cut in when some of the Republicans were asking questions that were fair questions, but we wanted to get the Democrats asking the cheap shot questions of our senior intelligence official. We'd actually cut into Marjorie Taylor Greene's hearing, and we cut in as soon as we heard Crockett was going on because we know she was going to throw some bombs. I mean, look, I understand what she's doing. As you know, NPR and PBS, which Jim Jordan, Comer, MTG, and others just field stripped today, is a major propaganda channel for the radical left. I understand why she's defending it. Of course, she butchered the Constitution. But Crockett, look, the one thing I admire about Crockett, she'll throw some punches. That's what the Democrat base is going through their Tea Party moment. They want brawlers. Like we have MTG and Boebert and some others. So I empathize with what they're doing. Crockett's a brawler.
Yeah. What's your assessment of if we boil it down, just bring it right down to brass tacks. Was this information classified or not? I mean, really, it is that, because no one's saying it didn't happen. No one's saying Goldberg didn't get this somehow, which is a problem. But whatever. But is it classified, Steve? Doesn't strike me as they didn't give actual coordinates. They gave a timeline a little bit, but I don't know. I would think of a true battle plan, and you would know as a military guy, would it have been a real battle plan or just a kind of a conversation?
I think the intelligence guys, and of course Pete Hegseth, and we're going to start off today about how they're focused on trying to take out Pete Hegseth. This is Pete Hegseth's second confirmation hearing. They understand Pete, as you know, Eric, because you know him very well. Pete has just put a warrior ethos already into the you know what kind of guy he is, and the military operation, which remember in the first Trump administration, the first kind of speed bump we hit, Madison and those guys put together a little operation with Navy SEALs in Yemen that didn't go well. Pete Hegseth has done a great job. I'd leave it to our intelligence professionals and to Pete to describe what happened. My belief right now, as a media guy on the outside with you, is no scalps. Just go on with your operations, move on, and you got business to take care of. I think the thing I find most disturbing is the Senate Armed Services Committee, which is the Committee of Jurisdiction for the Pentagon, is really taking the lead here on trying to do some bipartisan inspector general, investigation. I think it's totally unsat. I think Pete and the team should just go ahead and do their job.
One of those lunatic Democrat asked if Pete Hegseth was drunk when he was on. There's no indication of anything like that, but the cheap shot is unbelievable. Do we have time? I want to squeeze it in, Steve. Carolyn Levitt just crushed Caitlin Collins. It's worth watching.
I have two questions. One on a follow-up on something you just said, but since we have these messages released and you said that the president has now personally reviewed them, at the chat at one point Pete Hegseth wrote 14-15 strike drones on target, and in all caps he said, "This is when the first bombs will definitely drop." Does the president feel that he was misled by his national security advisors, whoever it was that told him there was no classified information in there, now that he's seen these messages?
I've now been asked and answered this question 3 times by the both of you, and I've given you my answer. The president feels the same today as he did yesterday.
Okay, Philip. And on my follow-up on what you had just said.
Go ahead, Philip. Caitlin, I'm not taking your follow-up.
I have a follow-up on something you just said, though, Caroline. That's Caitlin.
And it goes on. She just shut Caitlin Collins down. Caitlin's having a rough couple 72 hours.
Dissed and dismissed. I got a question, Bolling. You know our guy Pete Hegseth better than anybody. Is Pete going to back up 1 inch from these guys?
No. Pete is a great guy. Pete is doing a great job. If you listen and watch some of the things he's doing right now, he's doing that no one's done before. He knows it. He lived it. What a wonderful guy. They better not. They just better back off Pete Hegseth. They'll be very, very sorry if they do. I think he survives.
Eric, I think all of us are very proud of the fact of all the work people did to get Pete Hegseth confirmed. It's paid off manyfold already. Great man.
Yes, sir. All yours, Steve.
Eric Bolling. Thank
tomorrow.
you. And by the way, great. Mad Dog got great clips, great polls.
Always.
That Caroline Love was fantastic. Always. And dismissed.
We'll send it to you. We'll send it to
Poor
Cameron.
Caitlin Collins.
All right, brother. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. See you.